Welcome to the Learning Session we have at the beginning of every one of these hatecasts. This is your host, Bryce Allen, and today I am joined by Ed Shanks. We go over small little quality of life improvements that everybody can potentially make, as well as my electrolyte issue as of recently, which has been, by the way, fixed because I'm a responsible adult. When things break, I end up fixing them. Speaking of fixed, something we have done and something we have always strived to do is bring you a bigger, better product. And that is one of the reasons why, God, this sounds like an ad read. Jesus. Ugh. Yeah, so like new aggro. We're bringing aggro back. It's going to be reformulated. We have all of that information available in the newsletter, which I'm not sure, but I believe our newsletter sign-up page is broken, so go over to www.chaosandpain.com. Look for somewhere on the site to sign up to the newsletter, and you will be in the know, just like everybody else. Now, also included in that newsletter, we go over the fact. God, why do I have to burp right in the middle of an intro section?
Sorry.
Oh my God. Anyway. We're gonna save this. So we have 28. God, I fucked up again. 28% off over at www.chaosandpain.com with the code PRE20. Now, for ease of access, I will list the coupon code in the description box below, so you don't have to try and figure out what I said. So, with that being said, I will let you get to the show. However, I do have one more thing. So at the end of this episode, we go over basically like psychology stuff, and if that's something you would be interested in hearing about, Ed and I already have an episode planned on it. If there's anything else psychology, because he's a psych major, if there's any other psychology stuff that you would like to be discussed here on the hatecast, specifically when it comes to lifting, life, other things, pretty much anything, right? We can either do our best to go over those topics in the fashion that we do, or, because he's really excited about it, he actually lit up at the end of this episode like, ooh, psych stuff, meditation and all that stuff. Clearing your mind, right? So at the end of this episode, he kind of lights up. So if there's any psych topics or any weird off-the-wall topics that you have that you would like to be discussed on this podcast, because it's not just a fitness podcast, it is a all-encompassing with fitness bias podcast. We have Casual Sundays, where we discuss weird stuff, stuff not related to fitness, sometimes related to fitness, most of the time related to fitness, but we would like to branch out. Also, on that end, branching out, I would like to kind of extend the branch of a tree, because I forgot the metaphor. Basically, any questions you have for Guy Rozzi, which is the physio I'm going to have in the next episode, when it comes to physio-specific stuff, please post in the comment section below. And, without further ado, please enjoy the episode. We work really hard on these, and if you don't enjoy them, it makes me feel sad. I don't know where to go from there. I'm going to play the song. And we're live. Welcome to the newest hatecast. I'm your host, Bryce Allen, and I'm joined by Ed Shanks. So, in this episode, we will go over quality of life and how to either increase yours or regain a little bit of what you've lost. First and foremost, we will discuss one of the articles that Ed has written about grip training, because if you do not have a strong grip, sometimes things can break. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about that, Ed.
I read an article about grip strength and also about forearm strength.
Right.
And Daddy, he needs a napkin. Go right over there. See, I'm using my grip strength. Go over there. Yes. Yes. perfect.
That
Cheetos, man, they make messes.
that cringy scene from Transformers where Shia LaBeouf's like, over there.
So, anyways, I was thinking about, I did an article for grip and hand strength, and then I remember
Yeah,
because, well, number one, Avengers Endgame is coming out on April 24th,
of course.
25th, most places, 5, 6 o'clock showings, 3D. I mean, I don't, event packages, special coins. I mean, it's crazy. They didn't
By the
have the
way, who
Marvel
the
Marathon.
fuck pays for 3D movies at this point?
I don't know.
But go ahead.
Well, anyways, so, um, yeah, I remember from Infinity War that the thing that stuck out to me the most about Thanos, the Mad Titan, was not his sense of morality and saving the universe, but how big his hands and forearms were. I mean, they were
Right,
jacked. So then I was like, well, how can I get forearms and hands like Thanos?
right,
And then I was like, well, there's certain exercises you can do to add on to your training. Because the thing about hand and grip and forearm strength, and unless you're overtrained, which, by the way, Bryce, do you know like the number one surefire way to tell if you're overtrained?
how's that?
Chronic sore forearms and hands.
Or tendonitis.
But that's a result of it.
Right.
The other stuff happens first before the tendonitis comes on.
Right.
Because what happens is to get bigger forearms and hand strength, you have to go above and beyond your regular training because that's what they're made for, and they're better endurance muscles, so you have to train them that way. You
Right.
can't just you know do 4 or 5 light sets of dumbbells and expect your grip strength to get better. It won't. Uh, so there's a couple things you can definitely do. Number one, uh, because it is on the same kind of lines as far as strength training and central
Yeah.
nervous system activation, is lift heavy weights. Lift
Who would have
something
thought?
heavy. Who would have thought? Wait, without wrist straps, you
Right.
know. And for me, like for deadlifts, I try to do a double pronated instead of a mixed soup pronated grip.
I do double pronated almost exclusively.
Soup because
So,
you're carrying it. Supinated. And then pronated. Yeah.
because you're
Any,
professional.
so, anyways, yeah. So, uh, another exercise I was
That's pretty
inspired.
cringy.
Yeah, was inspired by you was rope pull-ups. But if you really want to be a master, 2-hand rope pull-ups. Use 2 different, towels,
Right.
towel pull-ups,
Cow. Yeah.
towel pull-ups. Anything involving like a rope, climbing is also going to help. I've been doing some of that myself as well too lately, which is, dude, your forearms are just like on fire.
Right.
Try what I do is because I'm kind of like afraid of heights. I don't like it, not at all. You know what I'm saying? I don't, no, because I weigh a lot, and gravity and me, like, nah, like we ain't playing that game. Nah. So, anyways, what I'll do is I'll get a rope, and then I will start holding it like this, and I'll walk backwards in a plank position all the way to the ground
Right.
without bending, my butt, and then I'll go straight up that way too. Talk about like that first grip, trying to pull your arm up. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one too. And then one of my personal favorites, holding weights in your hands and farmers walks or however you want to do it.
Right. Farmers weighted carries.
But
Yeah.
I prefer to do not just farmers walk themselves, but actually doing like plates. So get rid of the barbell, just use plate, and then I like to do 225s together as opposed to 145 because you have to grip your hands like that. Look how big those hands are. That's
Something else I'll add on to that too is if you have, if your gym is fortunate enough to have hex dumbbells,
yeah.
is you can actually grab the top of the dumbbell, grab the dome of the dumbbell, and go ahead and do the exact same thing, but from a different angle. You know,
Yep.
that's something the forearms are spectacular for. They're great in grabbing things that are just weird to grab, right?
Yep. Also, turning is a good thing. I didn't really include that because that's more of like forearm and less grip.
Right.
But I'm gonna do another follow-up article more on eventually down the road. I got so many articles I got to put up on stuff that it will happen
Oh yeah, yeah,
eventually.
yeah, yeah. Plenty more content over on the blog section of the site. But
Yes.
I see you also mentioned fat bars,
I
so fat
love.
grips.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
only use fat grips. When I work out at home, I only use fat grips because I have adjustable dumbbells that go up to like 90
Ah,
pounds.
yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. That's pretty
So I'm
good.
like, yeah, dude, 90 pounds. I don't think I ever use the 90s at home. I mean, no. I'll tell you, you go to the gym and, I'll squat 3 plates, deadlift 3 plus plates, all that stuff. But at home, it's like, nope, nope.
Well, different. I've also noticed with adjustable dumbbells, the weight distribution seems to be a little bit wonky too.
Well,
So,
because they're longer.
yeah, yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Yeah.
Because I actually had some whenever I first started out. My dad bought me a real nice pair of like Gold's Gym adjustable dumbbells, which you can't find anymore. Um,
Bowflex, bro. The Bowflex ones they're pretty legit. They
well, those are
last
the
me.
expensive ones. These were the cheaper
Oh,
ones.
yeah,
Um,
it was a Father's Day present after my son was born because I quit
oh,
going to the
okay.
gym pretty much. I started working out from the home, and then now I've incorporated, gym and home life together. So I know the
Right.
best of both worlds. I'm also going to do an article about Tabata.
Tabata.
Tabata, not Amata. What's Amata? Tabata.
What are your opinions on Tabata and the likes?
Dude, Samurai Warriors were awesome.
Samurai Warriors. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that
So
where
I
it's
mean, is
from?
that just no? Some American guy just randomly said, "I'm going to call Tabata." Yeah,
Ed, that
Japanese.
happens a lot. To be
No,
fair.
well, it was made to train the warriors and to give them very quick, uh, workout sessions so they'd be in top peak performance without having to they didn't call it overtraining back then, but in modern terms, prevent overtraining, rest recovery,
Right.
and to stay in shape with minimal amount of time taken because you could be in a mountain
Short little
somewhere
sprints of
hiding.
activity.
Yeah, because you could
So,
be up in a mountain somewhere, like, doing your thing, kind of like assassinating, prevent a war, or you could be like, who knows, protecting some people. I mean, yeah, yeah, quick and easy and anywhere.
yeah.
Tabata.
Kind of like if any of you were ever in vocal coaching or something like that, they have you do little quick sprints to go. Like if you ever want to get your voice a little bit higher, you go knee, 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 right? Because it's short little bursts and get your
Whoa, you
vocal
need to teach,
cords.
you need to teach me how to sing, brah, and we'll make like you need to lay down a beat, lay down a track, and then I'll be the
I
first to
don't know
sing
how
you.
to sing, but I've given myself speech therapy because when I was young, it was fucked up.
Well,
I was screwed up at a
can you
very
make
young age.
can you
Huh?
make beats? Can you make beats?
I can. They come
Can
in a
you do some?
can. You buy them at Walmart. And they're these little red disc. And what you do, see, that's
Are
double
you
meaning.
are you a producer?
No.
Do you know what that means? Like you make music.
Yeah, no, I'm not a producer. Although I did mix our ending outro, which is pretty cool.
You need
But
to learn to do that. You need to get
huh?
some software. You need to get some software and make beats and stuff.
Yeah, like getting the software is where I just don't want to pay anything. I'm so
I know.
cheap.
What's it
But
called?
anyway,
Like Auto Tunes or something?
well, they have Audacity, which is a free audio mixing program, which this is totally unrelated. But they have Audacity, and then they have a couple others. But Audacity seems to be the
Oh,
most
the
open
audacity
source.
of it.
Yeah, it seems to be the best option for like open source audio mixing. So that's what I mixed the outro song in. So
Interesting. I might have to play around. I wonder if you can make sicko mode using Audacity.
you can. You can actually change. You can do the auto tuning and all that stuff within Audacity. It's some really nice plugins. But I've nerded out way too much for this episode. So grip training. Something else I will say about grip training is do not just train in one hand position like we've mentioned. Grip training is one of those things where
Grab it like that.
you don't know that you need it until you need it. As you get progressively stronger and as you get progressively more fit, you will end up needing at some point some form of grip training. That's just due to the fact that whenever you get so strong, things start to break down, which is why, Louis Simmons was a fan in his conjugate style training to train the weak points, or West Side style training to train the weak points, along with the compound movements. So, and that's kind of how modern bodybuilding is today, which is kind of, a little offshoot we can do here. People think that bodybuilding is not lifting heavy, only staying within 12 to 20 reps, and that's not at all it.
Squeeze, bro. Squeeze.
Yeah, your modern bodybuilder has to be bigger than they ever have before. They have to be stronger than they ever have been before, and they have to be more lean than they ever have been before.
Lightweight.
Lightweight ain't nothing but a peanut. Ain't nothing but a peanut.
Ain't nothing but a peanut.
Hey, did you see the documentary? Ronnie Coleman documentary?
No, but
I still
he
need
can't
to watch
walk.
it.
He can't walk anymore. Hardly.
Well, that's no reason to not watch a documentary. I mean, you can see, right? But
hey, I got a question. Have you seen Big Trouble in Little China?
Anyway, so we're gonna go back to grip training.
Drink.
I will say that whenever you do things like static holds, because I know that's popular for people to do when it comes to grip training, for good reason. You need to do that for time, as Ed had mentioned, right? And I'm not just talking 3 or 4 seconds. You need to do 10, 20, work your way up to 30 seconds, work your way up to a minute. If you can hold yourself off a pull-up bar for a minute, you have pretty good grip strength.
Yeah.
So, by the way, I would highly suggest for people who are doing some sort of grip training, possibly implementing a grip day instead of trying to tack it on the end, or do AM PM, kind of a training split. Although I'm not a fan of that, I'm more a fan of the give it its own individual day. But yeah, that way you'll get the most bang for your buck. It won't interfere. Your grip training won't interfere with your lifts, and your lifts won't interfere with your grip training, which is something that somebody does, like bicep curls. They do big pulling movements like barbell rows. They do deadlifts and everything like that, and then they go work their grip. Well, now they're just selling themselves short. At least for grip training, that is grip and forearm training. I will also say that there are a couple of different things that you can buy for cheap that you can actually bring into your house for grip training. So one of them is a 5-gallon bucket and some play sand from Home Depot, right? And you literally do pull aparts. So you put your fingers in the sand, and then you just pull them apart, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is fantastic for hand strength and finger flexors. So rock climbers do that, if that gives you any indication on how effective they are towards grip training.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we've pretty much covered that. But do you have any more to add when it comes to grip training? Do you have any more tips and tricks that you would like to throw in there?
Yeah, carrying around a 5-year-old,
Carrying around a 5-year-old? Yeah,
picking
yeah.
them up and stuff.
Preventing them from going everywhere, like grabbing onto their arm and stuff. Trust me.
Well, no, it's more about carry. Well, they're at that point they're fine, but it's about
Yeah.
yeah.
If you ever want to work on your sprinting speed, uh, go to an aisle near the toy that they really want and try and prevent them from getting there. Sprint, carry.
That's not sprinting. That's something. I don't know what that is. That's just like that's not a good thing.
But
Is that a
max
fire
effort
or
sprint.
something? I don't
But
even know. I don't know what to say about that.
let's go a little bit into things people can do for themselves when it comes to diet to improve their health.
Eat eggs.
Eat eggs, yes, but I actually gave you an email, like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock this morning, or
I didn't read all of it.
yesterday morning. It was just I'm going to be up late.
Yeah, I got that email. But did
Yeah.
you send me what else was on there?
That was it. Yeah.
Oh, I thought okay, yeah.
And the reason I wanted to mention that is because
Oh.
I was actually experiencing an electrolyte imbalance.
Ooh, how did
Which-
that happen?
Well, I came back from Austin, Texas, and I just didn't give a shit about
Texas.
getting potassium, sodium, magnesium back into my diet after a week of just completely destroying myself. So what ended up happening is I would start to lay down, and it's like my legs were just trimmer, right?
Ooh.
It's bizarre. And no, for those of you in the know, I'm not on anything that would cause that.
No Clint. What?
No, I don't eat clean. I don't train hard. But
I know, right?
but it's but my legs were just rippling, like the backs of my calves were just rippling with just it was like muscle trimmers, muscle shakes, whatever. Well, I know a little bit about this stuff, so I'm like, okay, what the fuck has my potassium been at for the past, however so long? And I went ahead and I went on my FitnessPal because I log my food like a sociopath. But I went on my FitnessPal and my potassium's been at something like 1,000 milligrams for weeks. So the RDA for that stuff is like 3.5 grams all the way up to 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
So that means I needed to eat some more fruit. I needed to eat some more greens, which I was very, very bad about when I came back. I needed to increase my sodium intake. I needed to take an Epsom salts bath to get my blood magnesium levels up, right? If you are somebody who works out... Huh?
Pink Himalayan salt.
Well, I did that too. Yeah. I salt my foods anyway. But it's just... I was kind of in dire straits too. I was also experiencing energy issues. I was experiencing...
I got a question. Money for nothing and chicks for free?
I'm sorry?
Money for nothing and chicks for free?
Sure.
You said you were dire straits.
Anyway, I was pretty rough, and that seemed to kick things up a notch. So, what are some of the great sources of electrolytes people can include into their diets so that this doesn't happen to them? Because it kept me up. I got about 2 or 3 hours sleep at night because of that. Now I finally got some sleep last night, and it's because I've been basically megadosing myself with electrolytes now.
Well, I think like you said, as far as fruits, vegetables, that's definitely the healthy way,
Right.
to go ahead and do it. And then, I'm just a big fan of, pink Himalayan salt because it has so many other minerals. And that's the thing, like when you say electrolytes, it's basically just a combination of different minerals and stuff that you're
Right. Yeah.
deficient in. And and pink Himalayan salt has 85 something trace minerals. I mean, it's loaded. Drinking enough water, and those are my go-to.
Yeah.
It's but if like you're in an emergency situation like you are, I don't think that eating vegetables alone is going to be enough. Like you need to start looking at supplemental ways to get it in and go from there.
Well, the thing is too is 99% of the cases of low potassium, right, happen in
Hmm.
women. So basically, I'm a bitch. Um, I'm not calling women bitches. It was a joke. Don't take me seriously, Jesus Christ. Um, but anyway, so like 99% of the cases that are, a big majority of the cases that are low potassium, low electrolyte, usually happen in women and usually are fixed by food. Um, so that's kind of the route I went. But when I say I ate a lot of potassium, I mean I was having 300 or something grams of spinach a day, which is equivalent of like 2 grams of potassium
Yeah, but
on
who's
top
going to do
of,
that?
huh?
Who's going to do that?
This guy.
That's well, I mean, that's what I mean.
Potatoes
Like,
is
yeah,
another great form of potassium.
well,
Bananas, which we're both fan of, and Jamie is
yeah,
going to kill us. Um, but yeah, you calm down, sir. Um, but fruits and vegetables. I mean, I make. Hear no evil, see no evil. Yeah, sure. No, you speak plenty of evil. That's some
I
bullshit.
do. Hmm.
But if you are experiencing either low levels of energy or um, muscle tremors, I'm actually predisposed to muscle knots. Do you know what those are?
Mm, no.
So a Charlie horse is usually in the lower region of your body, right? So it's usually like your calf or something like that, right? Muscle knots, all the muscles in your body can just knot up,
So it's
right?
anywhere. It's not just lower body.
Right. And muscle knots usually are very, very painful. Like I've had my abs lock up to the point where I'm being pulled forward, all that stuff. And I'm interested to see because
Is
I'm
it
really, huh?
is it like cramping?
It is literally like, man, it's hard to explain this if you've never taken something like clenbuterol or IGF-1. It's intense cramping, right?
Yeah, like it. Like, well, I mean, I play basketball, so my calves. If I was sleeping at night after playing ball for 3 or 4 hours, and I just would, you move your feet when you sleep. All of a sudden, you wake up and you're like, ah, and it's
Yeah,
just like
yeah, yeah.
your calf is cramped up, and you're like, it's like, yeah, not good.
Especially after like a really good bench session or something like that, I'll reach to get something off the cabinet or something, and my chest will just start knotting up, right? And it's just something I've always had, right? And usually, muscle knots happen more often in people over 6 foot because of certain hormones that they're naturally predisposed to having more of, right? So
IGF-1,
uh,
interesting.
not only that, but growth hormone and stuff like that because
Hmm.
reasons. I mean, hey, you want to be over 6 foot? Welcome. Um,
Hmm.
but I'm like 6'5", so. But I've
Hmm.
always had them. I went through growing pains when I was growing up too. So, but I will say
Hmm.
that I'm interested to see how this affects um, all of those issues because you know it's painful and it's
Hmm.
I really don't know how to explain it other than the fact that it's just inconvenient. Like it happens at the most inconvenient time. I'll be shaving and my forearms will lock up. Well, I'm not right
Yeah.
now, but um, yeah, I would highly suggest that if you're not, especially if you're an active person, monitoring how much sodium you take in, because sodium is not the devil, right? You need sodium. You need about a
A
two
lot.
to one, so 2 parts sodium to 1 part potassium. Uh,
Hmm. It's a lot.
about it is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're an active individual, trust me, that much sodium is not going to hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
So I would suggest to everybody to take a look at their electrolytes, see if there's anything lacking, and see if it's the explanation for any problems that you might be having, right? Especially magnesium, because a lot of people completely drop the ball on that. It is in Hypnos. I know that, right? We have magnesium in Hypnos, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes your needs for magnesium go up, especially if you sweat a lot or something like that,
During
right?
the summer.
Right. Any other dietary changes that have made a major difference to your health?
Eating less sugar and less carbs and more protein and fats.
Yeah. Now,
Oh, it makes it a lot easier to have cheat meals. But it also makes it a lot easier um, just to stay lean year round.
yeah. I will say this about when it comes to carbohydrate intake and athletes. If you're sedentary, you really like if you have a desk job and all you do is like go to the gym in a car and you
Mm-hmm.
spend, most of your time in 3 to 5 rep range, you really shouldn't be above one
Um,
gram per pound of body weight of carbohydrates, just because your needs for blood sugar and glycogen really aren't that high. You're not Ronnie Coleman. Stop.
yep.
um, but if you're doing like sets of 8 to 12, and your gym sessions last an hour to 2 hours, and then you've got a job where you're like a teacher standing up or something like that, that's where I would feel safe recommending you for like 1 to 2 grams of carbohydrate per pound of body weight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just like, and if you look at carbohydrate intake, it's scalable just like that, right? Protein, not so much. Protein, you need, an amount. You can have like 1 gram per pound of body weight. That covers it for most of the population, right? I'm on the tad bit higher side. I like 1.1, 1.2 per gram of body weight, just because I like the way protein tastes. I like meat sources. I like all that stuff. I like protein
Mm.
powder. Um,
Mm.
hell yeah, Rocky Mountain oysters. So, but also when it comes to fats, I would like to kind of discuss that too, because what are your opinions on moderate fat to high fat diets? Because this is where I feel that a lot of the strength and conditioning world is split, and I
Mm-hmm.
can't seem to find the reason why.
I don't see a reason why either. I mean, personally, I think it's dependent upon the person. Whenever you design a diet, you do a protein first, and then you look at uh, your carb and your fat ratios. And I think it is dependent upon the person. And as far as fats go, I'll put it to you this way. Like if I see fat on the back of a container or a label or whatever, it doesn't scare me.
Right, right,
Not at all. I honestly, I don't even really count that much fat. Now, if you're, you know, detailing everything and you're down to the precise calorie and macro and all that stuff and everything, then yeah, overall calories will make a difference. And so then it's more about staying within the overall calories and then monitoring how your body deals with
right.
the carbs. I think it's more important to time your, you know, carbohydrate intake and your fat intake than it is to really talk about what's the good amount of fat to take in.
Yeah,
You know, I'm more along the lines of, and I do a lot of things instinctually, for me. So,
yeah,
I'm not sitting here, like I said, I used to be that way and I got tired of it and I just kind of know now. Like days after I squat, I know, and then 2 days later, I'm going to be hungrier and I'll be a little bit freer with my eating,
right,
and I can just kind of see what my body needs because it's one of those things like, oh well, I ate this cheese and I wasn't satisfied. So if I ate this or hamburger meat, it didn't really like satisfy me. Then I know that I need some extra carbs, you
right,
know,
right.
and some water too.
Now, it is kind of interesting because I feel that most of the lifting, fitness and lifting community think fats, dietary fats, fat storage, right?
Doesn't
They're
happen.
not too far off, but in a roundabout way, it doesn't exactly work that way.
No.
Because when it comes down to it, your energy expenditure will specifically regulate the amount of fatty tissue that you store. Dietary fats are stored more easily as body fat. However, if you are burning this amount of calories or this amount of energy and you have this amount of food, there have been multiple studies now that have shown there's no difference in a high carbohydrate and high fat diet when it comes to fatty tissue storage, right? And I will link that study in the description box below. So really it comes down to what are your energy levels like, what are your taste buds say is good, because I don't know about you, but I love fatty cuts of steak. Like that's my jam, you know.
I don't. I
Um,
don't.
you
I
don't?
like meat. I like meat.
Yeah. But I like the fattier cuts of steak. Now I have to be careful with the amount that I have from an energy expenditure standpoint, not from a dietary fat's gonna make me fat standpoint, because
Mm-hmm.
it works like that on paper, but doesn't equate to that in practice, right? Because it should work like that. It's just one of those things that don't, right? I also was reading this study, which I will also link in the description box below, that was saying that high calorie, right? So a high
Mm-hmm.
calorie breakfast equated to more fat loss during the subsequent weeks period, right? Although the higher calorie did not equate for if it was higher carbohydrates or higher fats. I would be interested to see a study in that in particular, because you and I are both a fan of eggs in the morning, right? And you and I are both a fan of these. I don't know. I've discussed with you before these salads and these big like leafy green concoctions that I fix as like a brain boosting thing for me in the morning. I'm not aware of any high fat versus high carbohydrate versus high or low this and that study when it comes to carbohydrate and fat, but I do know that high calorie breakfast does equate. I'm kind of. Go ahead.
I just thought of something. That study that you said that was about that showed no difference between the types of macros ingested, whether it was carbs or fat.
Right.
Who were the participants? Because I have a theory on why we didn't see any difference.
You're thinking untrained versus trained, right? Or are
Well,
you
not
thinking
just.
that the body fat measurements were not spectacularly accurate?
I'm thinking damaged metabolism because of previous eating habits.
Okay.
Because that's a big thing too that I don't think the study accounted for. I mean, I'm not saying that, but I feel like the only way to get an accurate study is to do it with lower body fat people, because you're not going to get the same results if you have moderate or higher body fat. You're not going to be able to tell as much. And the reason is because when you're at that stage, your body is already, and metabolism is to the point where it's trying to store body fat for survival, because you have so much excess, and it's a damaged metabolism, and
You
that's
talking
one of the
about in
things.
the higher calorie breakfast?
No, I'm talking about the group that the study they did. That they
It
showed
said
no
there's
difference.
no difference in weight gain.
Yeah, so like it
So
didn't matter. Like people either gained weight or, regardless if it was high protein or, I'm sorry, high carb or high fat, they gained the same amount of weight regardless of what
they actually said
calorie level.
grams of fat tissue. So
So they're
they
talking,
did
yeah,
biopsies. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, when the probably didn't account for is if those people had damaged metabolisms or not.
I don't know.
That's
I
what I
do
was saying.
remember reading it,
Yeah,
but
because
I don't know the study participants. But
yeah,
it
because
was
that's
interesting to me. I
well, here's
mean,
and that's another thing that a point that I want to bring up too, is that and this is a lot of other studies have mentioned this before. The less body fat you have, your metabolism is working properly, and what happens is your metabolism kind of works like those, circular doors, whatever you call them, when you go into like a
revolving
hotel,
doors. Yeah.
revolving doors, yeah. So, the foods, calories going in, they're going right out, just like that, and like no one's really staying in the hotel. But what happens is if you have a damaged metabolism already and there's already people hanging out there, then more people want to hang out, you know?
Right. Right.
So regardless if
The
you're
club is
doing,
popping.
yeah, and if you're,
Yeah.
regardless of if you're doing carbs or fats, people are going to want to hang out. See my
Right.
point? So what
Right.
I want to do is I want to see a study with people that have, let's do 8% or less body fat, men, and let's see if there's a difference between uh, fat gain versus in taking sugar versus in taking fats, and let's just see what happens. I'm curious.
I'm curious about that too, only because I know that for many people to be at 8% body fat or lower, they have to train, right?
Yeah.
They have to have some sort of calorie burn
Well, that's because we don't
without.
live like we don't live like we used to, and we eat too much. Because I
Right,
mean,
but
truthfully, yeah,
even our bone density is different even
yep,
2 people ago, like 200 years
yep.
ago.
Well,
So
yeah,
like
because
everything's
yeah,
different.
everything's different.
I that actually brings up a very good point. I would like to also see that study. Although 8% may be a little bit low because you would have to train, right? You would have to
Yeah.
train in order to get
Well, let's
below eight
let's do
percent.
let's do 10% then, just to be. I
Ten
just
percent I'm
see,
fine with.
but 10% is still not quite as low as I want to see because I want to see the actual like, what, and actually, I think that you can get there doing keto.
You think you can get there doing keto alone?
Yeah, if you
Okay.
do
Well,
if you do it
here's what we're
properly.
going to do. We're going to bring on a little keto expert,
Yeah,
and we're
that's what
going
I'm
to talk
talking
about
about.
it. We're going
I'm
to
not
talk about it.
keto. I'm not keto, but I think you can do it because I like carbs too much, and I'm already at a point where I'm lean enough and I'm fine with it. But I do other things for inflammation, you name it.
Yeah. I also I also I'm one of those people that believes in magic. So if there is a differing opinion than mine and it turns out to be correct, you
Hmm.
damn straight I'm gonna jump ship because there's no point on staying on a sinking ship. You know.
Now, what
Um,
I am going to say though is that I firmly believe that training is the most important thing you should do. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
like I fully believe that, but I think that you can get lean without training. Would I
Yeah.
ever attempt to do it? It's just it's so if you train, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
train correctly, and you don't overeat while you train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, that actually does because I was under the misconception like everybody else that insulin is a storage hormone, right? When in actuality it's more like a traffic cop. It tells things where to
Yeah.
go, and
Yeah.
it kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
sends things to the right direction, right? Regardless of whether you want it to go there or not, right? For example, it can
Yeah.
shuttle things
Exactly.
out, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Exactly. Like.
so I jumped ship on that train because I was, I did the same thing. I said I was telling people that it was a storage hormone. Well, guess what? It's more like a traffic cop. It's going to
Yeah.
tell things where to go. So
Yeah.
I'm interested in talking with the keto guy, which we will have him on. He is a planned guest for this hatecast.
Okay.
So. Guys, let us know if you have any other experts or any other people in mind that you would like to have on. I will reach out to them on Twitter or something like that, and we will try and get them on so that either we can have debates or I can learn something new. Like for example, one of the other things that everybody can do to like passively increase their health, and this is kind of my way of transitioning off this, is uh, gut health. Right? I am
Hmm.
nowhere near an expert on gut health. Right? I do know that we need fiber, but we don't. But we need healthy bacteria, but not this kind of healthy bacteria. So what are some things that you would do to improve gut health, right?
Well,
because that's
I
something
think,
everybody can improve.
and that is one of the things I do is I eat whole um, Greek yogurt.
Right,
Try to
right.
get it. I feel like you're going to get it more through food sources. Now, some people can't do that because they're lactose intolerant or whatever. Then you can look at possibly doing a supplement. Um, I definitely think that gut health is important, but for me, it's drinking water, getting enough fiber. Uh, if you eat enough greens, that's going to help as well too. And I know fiber can stop some people up, but you still need it. You
Well, there was this one very, 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 very good quote from a researcher that I was listening to on another podcast. He said, "You know how when you're pregnant, they say you're eating for two, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a
Mm-hmm.
common thing that people say. Well, in actuality, you're eating for trillions, right? Your gut bacteria. Like, there's things, speaking about, chronic inflammation and fat deposit possibly being some sort of mechanism behind fatty tissue deposit being an inflammation response
Mm-hmm.
in response to those guys being unhappy, right? Whenever there's a large inflammation response in the body, your gut seems to tell other parts of your body to say, "Hey, something's not right here," and they do like this knee jerk reaction in response to whatever's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I've kind of narrowed it down to make sure you get in fruits and vegetables. Make sure that when you cook meat, you put on some sort of spice or something healthy for your gut uh, biome. So like turmeric is something
Mm-hmm.
that you can use. Turmeric, whatever, however you pronounce it. Curcumin,
Curcumin. Curcumin.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There you go. Or cumin. You can get the same health effects from cumin. Um, Garlic is also extremely good for gut
Mm-hmm.
health. And the great fibers that also taste great, that would be also prebiotic, is something
Mm-hmm.
like onions, right? You can just chop an onion, caramelize it, and then add it to your food, right? Those are some stupid, simple little things that nobody. What are your thoughts on all the fermented food craze right now?
I mean, yeah, I get it, but I'm kind of it's just like too much for me to even like. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Too much?
I'm just like, come on. Like, for me, I like to do what you're doing. Do simple changes, eat healthy. Like, I add garlic to um, green peppers when I cook with my eggs. Stuff like that. I use the pink Himalayan salt, curcumin, turmeric, whatever you want to call it. I use that stuff. As far as doing other stuff, I don't have time.
Yeah,
Like.
yeah. There's things like kombucha that I probably should try, but at the same time, I'm apprehensive because, first of all, um, all there's a certain, like, I was reading some stuff on kombucha, which was like the stuff
Yeah,
you buy
like,
on the store shelves is inferior quality, and it's
well,
like you
dude,
have a bunch of kombucha snobs, and
yeah, well,
I
and it's
don't.
kind of like, I don't either, man. It's like,
It's not something I bought
I don't
into.
know.
It tastes like shit to me.
I know, and that's another thing too. Like, all this stuff tastes terrible, and I'm just like, I mean, I get it. Let's leave the fermentation to like the alcohol and just like,
Now I can get on board with something like sauerkraut. You know,
well, there's
that's
certain, yeah,
easy though. You
well,
know,
yeah, that's different. I
that's
don't,
fermented, by the way.
yeah,
For those of you interested, there's plenty of prebiotics that are in sauerkraut as
okay,
well. Which is, I mean, you can buy a bag of sauerkraut. You can have like a serving or two a day in something. You can actually cook sauerkraut, so it doesn't need to be raw like people put it on their hot dogs raw. But you can actually cook sauerkraut so that it can become like this cooked cabbage sort of thing. And that's all sauerkraut is fermented cabbage. So,
Uh,
but it's
I
it's
guess the, go
go
ahead.
ahead. It's
I
really
guess
good for you. I was gonna say.
I guess the best way for me to put it about fermented foods is that I don't think there's anything wrong with them. I just think that people are taking it to that next level that they don't need to unless
Yeah.
you. I mean, I get it. There's a lot of natural stuff that we can do, but yeah, I don't think you need to only eat fermented food or go out of your way. to eat fermented food at every serving or whatever. I think that
Right.
you can, yeah, like there's nothing wrong with, like you said, sauerkraut or doing something, as kind of routine maintenance or to get the prebiotics in there. But I mean, unless you have an issue where you specifically know that you're low in, certain bacterium or prebiotics or whatever, then incorporate it, but just don't go overboard with it.
Right. Right.
That's kind of all what I was, I guess, trying to relay. But
Yeah. And something
because
else too is
I don't have time to go crazy with it.
you don't have time to go crazy with it. I
I
don't
don't
either,
have time
man.
to go crazy with
It's
it.
it's complete. There's people that make their own kombucha,
Well,
and that is a
dude.
fucking process.
Well, here's the
Holy
thing.
shit.
Like, when I didn't have like the family and stuff and everything, like I
Yeah.
had time to experiment with like crazy stuff like that. Now it's like I'm just trying to keep my clothes clean and
Yeah.
and to make sure the dog doesn't eat my socks. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Well, I think most people listening to this have a family and have a job and have other
mhm.
responsibilities. I know there's going to be some outliers that, by the way, the fitness industry is full of. Got single guys being bros and fucking partying out and like, man,
There's a
I
ton,
drank this kombucha and I made my own kombucha and I have
bro,
13 pickle jars of fermented food. It's like, okay,
bro.
well,
Yeah, like good for
it's
you.
fine. It's good. It's good.
I
But it's
just
fine. Like,
it's just it's not very like if it makes you puke, there's it's
but it's good
probably
for
shouldn't.
you. Like people, there are people now that it has become a craze to like take a clove of garlic and just crunch. I can't do it. I can't do it. Just can't do it. They'll put cloves of garlic
Oh
in their
no,
smoothies.
no. What I did one time, I have taken a clove before and bit down and
How was it?
swallowed it strong.
Strong. That's very descriptive.
I was
Strong.
never mind, like I was basically kind of stopped doing that after started smelling like garlic, and that is a true thing. It starts to come out your pores and stuff. And it's like you don't have to worry about vampires, but you don't have to worry about other people either,
Yeah, you don't have to worry about your significant other kissing you at all.
or
Um,
anybody else just walking down the street like, what is that? Yeah, I don't know.
I did want to kind of ask your opinion on this too, because you seem like a high protein guy. What is your opinion of all these people like just eating so much protein they just start smelling like ammonia?
I think
Like
it's
that's become a
terrible.
problem. You
Okay,
know?
so this problem really was not, or I was not made aware of how big of a problem it really was until about 3 years ago when I was at LA Expo. I think it was just like yeah, it was some show in LA, whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, Big time, bodybuilding, fitness, and
Oh
everything.
yeah,
And um, after the first day, the bathrooms
yeah.
smelled oh bad, like oh, just all the protein bombs. I mean, it was the
Listen,
worst. It was one of I don't Bryce. I mean,
there's a shit ton of sugar alcohols in all those protein cookies they're eating, right?
yeah, it was just so
There's
bad.
they're eating like way more protein than they need. They're eating a shit ton of Quest bars, which is a lot of fiber in Quest bars. So those
It
bathrooms are
was
getting blown up. It would have been epic.
it was beyond epic. I mean, other venues did a lot better job as far as I don't know why they didn't smell, but this was just like you got to the point where you're kind of like, and here's the thing: protein bombs have a specific smell. It's not just like your regular, crap. That's I can't even. I don't even know how to describe it. They're just
It
terrible.
creates its own hemisphere around it, right? Of this
It like
stank.
it chokes you. It literally it chokes you. It's that bad. Like, what is that? Like that's how. It's almost like it's almost like a stink bomb. I guess with all the ammonia. It's got it's. I mean, it's obviously it's the ammonia, but it's just like it's bad. It is absolutely.
Speaking of concoctions, though, um, let's
So
go
yes,
back to the food a
you
little bit.
you well you can definitely overeat protein.
Yeah, let's go back to the food a little bit. So, I kind of wanted to get your opinion on this too, because people have access to these recipes all over the place, and they think, um, and I'm also a fan of this. I'll admit it right here, right now. Throwing everything healthy into a blender, blending it up, and then just
And
downing it
drinking
as
it.
a smoothie. Like,
Yeah.
do you see that to be like an effective way, or do you see that to be that's okay for people to do if
Yeah.
they wish to do that?
Well, dude, I mean, especially if you're doing it to vegetables, because that's really good because you're breaking up the cell walls so your body can absorb it, the nutrients, you know?
I also have a also yeah. The thing is too is you should chop spinach before you eat it because of a compound
Cell
called
walls
sulforaphane, right? Which
and
happens when
the
you
cell walls.
break. Yeah. Um, but I will say there was this guy at my gym, right? His name is Dan.
Damn.
He used to yeah, he's an old
Did he have a
gentleman.
plan? Did he have a plan?
He had a plan. He actually trained back in the day with Bill Pearl, right?
Did he have a
Which is like
tan?
no. But he was, Mr. Universe winner, pretty prominent
Oh,
guy in the strength and fitness world. They hung out in California around the old Muscle Beach area of Venice, right? And there was this individual with him who held a squat record, I believe. His name was Pat Joyce, right? So Pat Joyce actually owned a smoothie, no sugar added, fresh, like papaya, mango, and it was really like the first of its kind. He would have this, concoction that my friend Dan would get. He would have it there, and he's like I said, Dan's 75 now or whatever. He's just somebody who I talked to at the gym and everything, but really cool guy. He's telling me the story. He used to get this coconut and pineapple mixture there, but they had this one dude. They had this one dude who used to get carrot juice. He used to buy it in a gallon because they used to sell gallon jugs of carrot juice to this guy,
jeez.
3 or 4 a week. And this guy every day would have a glass of carrot juice before he went to bed, and a glass right in the morning, and then a glass for lunch. And what ended up happening is his skin actually started to turn orange. They used to call him the Carrot Man, right? Since then, um, Pat Joyce has, passed away. His business got sold. It turned into some sort of juice thing, although I've got to get the details of that. But long story short, if you are going to juice, right, I would highly suggest not juicing anything with a particularly large amount of vitamin A, right? Because
Beta carotene.
what will happen is vitamin A is very, very easy to get a shit ton of it and actually go into vitamin A toxicity. Because it's one of the very few vitamins that you can just overdose on. And your overdose is not like, hey, you're going to die or whatever. It's just like you'll experience some health issues. Like, for instance, your fucking skin turning orange. But for those people, doing like spinach smoothies and kale smoothies, which kale is I don't like kale, but spinach smoothies and like adding in fruit and adding in Kraken, of course. Kraken makes for a great little mixer there. Graham Reaper crew checking in. But if you're doing something like that, I think that it's a fine one. In fact, It's one of the best ways to get in spinach, blueberries, bananas, and protein powder all at the same time and not have to choke anything down that is bitter like spinach. So, big fan of mixing both fruits and some sort of leafy green vegetable in a smoothie so you can hide the bitterness, get the benefits, and be much happier with your life. Now, this is something more of a habitual thing, or this is something more of outside of the gym that I would like your opinion on. So, do you have any sleep hygiene routines that people can do to increase their quality of life?
Sleep or what did you say?
Sleep hygiene. Things that you do to get you ready for bed, right?
Well, okay. So let me tell you about me.
Be clean.
Oh, I have sleep apnea.
Right.
So my whole life, I basically have been trained. When I get into bed and my head hits the pillow,
Right.
like a light, like a light, like a light. 13 hours.
I get you. So you're just one of those people that can just turn off.
Yeah,
I am not.
I know. So, but here's from what I've been told. Like I can literally count on the times on one hand that I've had trouble falling asleep, and a couple of them were like, caused by like ex-girlfriend issues. So,
Oh, okay.
but then I still fall asleep, but it's just like, you know.
Your legs are both tired. But go ahead.
But anyway, so, um,
Your wife doesn't watch this. Don't worry about it.
oh my goodness, you're right. But anyway, so yes, but yeah, I don't really have an issue. But taking melatonin and like valerian root, a lot of people will calm me down. Like I don't need to do any of that stuff, but I know a lot of friends that do it. And whenever I've tried this stuff before, it's like, now I will say that as far as improving the quality of my sleep, which is a different story, I like stuff like L-Dopa, natural stuff.
Right.
I don't really like melatonin, honestly. It kind of just is a little bit too strong for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I definitely, I like L-Dopa stuff, or Velvet Bean.
Yeah.
Works really well for me.
One of the things that I will say when it comes to the supplement wise, right? Because I'm going to talk on that first, and then I'll go over into the actual sleep hygiene part. Sleep routine, sleep hygiene, whatever you have, whatever you want to call it. So, on the supplement end, we do sell a product. I'll be 100% transparent. I do use the product. It's called Hypnose, Chaos and Pain Hypnose. For those of you who are unaware, it has Phenibut in there, it has GABA, it has valerian root, it has 5-HTP, it has hops, it has all the things that you need, ZMA in there. It has all the things you need to relax your mind and relax your body, right? For me personally, my mind is the thing that keeps me awake the most. It has nothing to do with my body's response to hitting the pillow. It has everything to do with me being a ball of anxiety, right? Now, reading, as Ed is doing right now, does not... Oh, okay.
I'm listening.
Reading does not do a fucking thing for me. What I've found to be most helpful is watching some sort of TV or something like that. Now, mind you, watching your phone when it's this close to your face is not something you want to do because of the blue light and its effect on sleep and stuff like that, right?
It's terrible for sleep.
But there is research to show that if the TV or whatever is far away from you, it doesn't have as much of an effect. The same premise as to why you can get tired at 2 o'clock in the morning when there's billboards everywhere, right? But I would suggest moving your TV far enough away to see it, but not close enough in order to affect your sleep. So that would be somewhere along the lines of like at least 8 to 10 feet away from your face, right? Another thing that I do is I make sure the room is nice and cool, right? Because sleeping hot, listen, I know you've got some heat over there. Sleeping hot sucks.
It does.
Right?
I don't sleep hot.
So I would highly suggest turning on your air conditioner or getting, if you're in a place like this, swamp coolers. They are actually still a thing, by the way. Did you know that?
I think I did. I think I did know that actually, which is kind of funny.
Have you ever used a swamp
Louisiana.
cooler?
No.
Nice and moist air, which is great for when you're sleeping, especially if you're somebody like me with dry sinuses, right? Make sure that you go to sleep at around the same time every night. Also, by the way, you also wake up at around the same time every day. This has an important benefit to your circadian rhythm, right? And that's the natural 24-hour clock that you run on, right?
Don't take long naps.
Do not take long naps, but we'll get into that stuff. I think stuff can hurt during the day here in a minute. But I would highly suggest people go to sleep at around the same time and wake up. Waking up probably is more important at the same time every day than going to sleep at the same time every day.
Yes.
Just so that people are aware.
Because if you're tired, you'll fall asleep.
Right, and you have that cortisol response when your body says, okay, that your cortisol is elevated as shit in the morning whenever you wake up. That's in order to get certain things turned on, your adrenaline going, this wakefulness that you feel of the morning even before your cup of coffee. If you pay attention to it, you'll notice that even without your cup of coffee, you will start to feel more and more awake as the time goes on. And if you are not familiar with this feeling, I suggest everybody take some time off caffeine and try and really get in tune with that so that you kind of know what I'm talking about. But, so your cortisol is elevated and then it dips and then you're back to being awake and fine and no high cortisol. Sometimes, also, by the way, going to sleep, taking your Hypnos or taking whatever melatonin source you choose at the same time every night also has benefits on your 24-hour clock. So if you're going to use melatonin, please do not use it sporadically at different times. Okay? That is a number one disaster move on your sleep schedule. Especially for people who use melatonin. Now, some people are affected by food before they go to bed, and some people it actually helps them sleep. I have been experimenting with eating before I go to sleep. That personally helps me. If you want to run the experiment of eating before you go to sleep, I'm not saying, eat a full 5-course meal. I'm saying, a good protein source like some full-fat Greek yogurt, like we've mentioned, right, is a perfect before-bed snack. Cottage cheese has always been like the bodybuilder thing to do or whatever, but I've just gotten so tired of it that it's just ugh to me now. Bullshit. A protein powder mixed with some yogurt or even a smoothie before bed. I don't know what you're saying.
You need to go see Kingpin.
Oh, okay. I've seen Kingpin. I know. That movie was kind of responsible for my dark sense of humor now. It was pretty bad. Like, he was sleeping to get free rent, sleeping with that woman. So gross. So gross.
And throwing up afterwards.
Yeah. Also, probably not a movie that can be aired in this current political climate. By the way, guys, I would like to ask you, I know this is off the wall, but what movies have you noticed? Because I just noticed Ace Ventura was not able to be aired. Because that one scene where he kisses that woman, or guy dressed up as a woman or whatever, and he pukes and everybody pukes. And because of
Yeah.
that scene, now they no longer air Ace Ventura on TV
Oh
at
my
all.
gosh, that was
So
hilarious.
if there's another film like that you were personally aware of, please let us know in the comment section below, because I'd
That
like to kind of look
makes
up the reasons why. I know Dukes
that
of
makes
Hazzard got pulled
sense.
because of the Confederate flag, right, on the General Lee.
That makes
So,
sense now. Why's the A-team been pulled?
well, here's the thing. Like, there was that other movie with, what was that movie with, was that Jean-Claude Van Damme, or who was it? The
Which
Saint?
one was it? Bloodsport.
Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer.
Yeah, it's like
That one's fine. And they called somebody a faye, right? That's a Greek yogurt. You can look it up if you'd like to know the reference, right? So they called somebody a faye. I'm not going to say it on the internet because it will get clipped. But they called somebody that. In the film, it's still being aired. Like, that's literally a derogatory term towards a person who's LGBTQ plus. God, I'm trying to be politically correct with this. Whatever.
fair.
So, anyway, let us know in the comment section below. Back to the sleep thing.
Oh, guess
So,
what? I do know a movie that um would not be affected by that.
what?
Big Trouble in Little China.
If it comes on, I'll go ahead and watch it.
Okay,
Okay, I'll make a deal with you. By the
let's
next
do it.
time that we talk, I will have watched Big Trouble in Little China, because at this point, I'm just wanting to rip it off like a band-aid. I'm sure it's a good movie. Just, yeah. I still need to watch The
No,
Princess Bride, too.
it,
So,
it's it's much better than The Princess Bride.
you're going to get some hate now. Because I know that people are
Dude,
the fuck. They will fight you to the fucking death for that movie.
I mean, Princess Bride's good, but and I love Andre the Giant, but I mean, no, like you can't beat good old Jack Burton.
Speaking of Andre the Giant, back to the sleep thing. So sleep apnea can also affect some people. Oh, that was mean. Um, he was a giant. Of course he had sleep apnea.
R.I.P.
Rest
Andre
in
the
peace.
Giant.
Documentary was apparently pretty good. Um, but sleep apnea, if you
That was a
have, or
big
if
but.
you suspect that you have sleep apnea, or you have a little bit of
You,
extra weight on you, moving past it, if you have a little bit extra weight on you, sleeping with a fan blowing in your face, or even some air circulation around the room, can really help you sleep
help,
significantly.
I need
If
somebody.
you are one of those people like myself that cannot go to bed dirty, right? Take a shower before
Yeah,
bed.
I don't like that either.
It really, 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 really makes a difference.
Yeah, it does because I get all the oils off and stuff and the dirt. It does make a difference.
Yeah,
I go to bed clean too. Yeah.
yeah. Also, there's some other things like make sure that you have like the covers to your liking or whatever. Make sure your significant other doesn't, affect your sleep too much. And you know, I mean, there's so many things that you can do for sleep hygiene, but like within an hour of going to bed, you should be like in your chill mode, watching TV and stuff like that.
Turbo.
Also, do not. I know this is like nonsense. Probably don't take caffeine at 8 o'clock at night.
Might not be a
I
good look.
know people say, "Oh, well, I can fall asleep," but I could
It
try
still affects your.
not.
It still affects your body.
Well, it affects your REM sleep.
Yep.
So don't, and see how it affects you. And if you still are like, I want my caffeine, meh, meh,
I
meh, meh,
need
meh," you
somebody.
can like fucking take caffeine and like not listen to what I'm saying, because you're your own person, you're your own man. You can do whatever you want. So,
What a man, what a man, what a man.
any other things that you would like to add to this episode? Because I think we've covered quite a few things in this episode. We've covered
Grip,
nutrition.
grip
We've covered
strength.
grip strength. We've
Thanos
covered
grip strength.
sleep. Do you have anything when it comes to like positive changes or time management stuff that you do on a regular basis that would affect people's lives positively?
Wow, man, that's such a big question. Like, there's so many things you can do, but you want something small. So if you're asking me for what is one how about this? Instead of time management, because time management, I mean, yeah, that's important, but dude, that's like goes down to organizing and I mean, there's so many different things. Like that's down a rabbit hole that would take
Right.
a probably a couple podcasts. You know what I
We
mean?
might actually, because that would be something that you could actually do some writing on when it comes to time
Time
management.
management
Because I find that people in the fitness industry are in a very specific need of that
for
sort
time
of
management.
information. Because look, I go to work, go to the
Yeah,
gym, fucking
eating.
kill it, lift my 135, kill it. So like, kill it on Smith machine. So
Okay,
they
well, here, let me give you you know how you do that?
what's up?
If you are hardcore in this industry, preparing food and all that stuff, then that's the key is preparation. You need 1 day to 2 days, weekends, where you prepare your foods and then you eat the same stuff that's already planned for you, and that basically eliminates the time throughout the week that you would have to spend on, you know, getting food prepared, and you just go about your day and everything falls in place smoothly and you're good to go. However, if you don't like to eat the same type of food or whatever, then that can kind of complicate things, and that's when it takes up more time. But to be successful in this industry, most people eat the same thing every day at the same time, and it just becomes routine because everything's based upon that. So it all goes to basically food preparation because that takes the most time out of anything
Right.
for the day. So if you do, there's your one thing with time management, food preparation
Meal
or food
prep.
prep. There you go, meal prep. And then number two, for overall just you know feeling better in general health benefits, and it's a lot cooler than food prep. Meditate.
Meditate.
Uh, Yeah, and don't do some like stupid like whatever trendy is the word I'm trying to look for without being offensive here. Trendy meditative thing.
Bullshit.
Yeah, just do. You need to do like real clear your mind because what meditation is supposed to. Yeah, there is a spiritual side to it, and I get that, but that comes later on when if you're ready and if you have to be ready and if you want to be ready, that's everybody's personal decision. But as far as improving your life, what it does is it serves as the on and off button or the restart button for your brain because your
Yeah.
brain's constantly thinking. So even when you're asleep, so when you meditate, you basically clear out your RAM because that's what remember the computer is made and based upon
Right.
what the human brain.
Right.
So you
By the way,
clean out
RAM stands for random access memory, which, by the way, if
yes,
you're in my head, holy shit.
you're in
Random
trouble.
as shit.
Random. So clear out the RAM. You shut it off. It's all about non-thought. When you meditate correctly, you're not thinking about anything, and it takes a lot of training and dedication to do it. People meditate for 20 minutes to get 2 seconds of clear thought.
Yeah.
Just let that sink in. But there are tricks that you can do to speed up the process, to distract your mind, to turn off what a lot of people call the babbler or your inner person, whatever you want to call it.
Right, right.
You like your ego is another term that people like to call it because wants you to be your ego wants you to be distracted. Your ego wants you to be safe. Your ego doesn't want you to challenge the
Yeah.
status quo. The ego is the one that pops up and says, "Oh, what if you get hurt? Or if you do this? Or what if this happens?" Well, you're not
Right.
that important, so get over yourself. That's what it means by ego. You got a big ego. Get over yourself. You're not that important. If it happens, it happens. So, anyways, um, when you can distract or turn off your ego in psychological terms, I guess I'll use that since I do have a psychology major.
Oh, do you?
Oh, yeah, you didn't know that?
Oh, no, I didn't. Okay. Oops.
Not that it matters. I mean, I guess it matters a little bit, but yes. So, when it comes to that, yeah, definitely, you're basically turning off the ego, You're trying to communicate more with your subconscious, what some people and spiritualists refer to as your true or your inner self, the one that knows all and is connected to the one, which they've done some scientific experiments and kind of have proven that there's a way that you can receive, energy, kind of like we're all connected on a grid, kind of like the Matrix, so to speak, but
Right.
like a giant internet grid that surrounds the planet, and we all are kind of like connected to it, and our connection is kind of our subconscious, so to speak. And so then when people getting dreams about this and that and the future and all that stuff, what a lot of people think now is that everything's plugged in, and just because you're able to quiet your mind or for whatever reason, that is brought forward into your consciousness.
See, and that's something I've never understood, and I know this is a little off tangent, but people are. I know somebody out there has had a shared dream experience with another human being, and people have this misconception that, oh, well, humans can't do that, right? Because
No,
it's elsewhere in the animal kingdom. Like there's hive mind mentality
yeah.
everywhere, right? Especially in the insect world and some of the reptile, I'm sorry, crustacean world.
Hey,
There's hive mind everywhere. And
hey,
to
Bryce,
go ahead.
for our next podcast, why don't we talk about this? Because um, if you really want to, it's very interesting because I kind of have a journey that has kind of led me to this place where I am, I guess you could speak, this balance, and that's kind of what it is. But I've had precognitions, I've had a lot of them, deja vu stuff,
Right,
uh,
right.
like gut, what you want to call it, whatever you want to call it. But for me, it was mostly precognitions. And um, precognition, for people that are kind of unaware or misuse the term, it is when you have like a dream or like some kind of symbolism in a dream or whatever that basically predicts the future or comes true.
Right, right.
You know,
I actually have a very recent story about that too. So, yeah, I would absolutely be down for that, especially with you being a psych major, and we can go into the holy shit, that'd make a good podcast.
that's why I
Okay,
said it.
but I was just gonna say, like,
Guess
people.
what?
Go ahead.
You just read my, see, I put it out there and you just picked up the vibe on the Matrix.
That I can read people, but hey, like I was saying, like, people are so dismissive when it comes to people having shared experiences or something like that, because they just don't believe that anything like that is possible
Well, dude,
when it
there
comes to
is this
humans,
well
when it comes to Homo
there's also
sapien.
number one, there is stronger connections than what people think. Number two, there also is a way to explain how you can prevent or how you can predict, or your subconscious can predict, anyways, uh, future events. That there's like a scientific, logical way that in itself is quite amazing, but it explains it, and it's really not as much spiritual as much it is a calculation and what your brain is doing, if that makes any sense, which is really cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I fully believe that there's both, but like everything, it's a balance.
Yeah,
It
I
all
mean
comes
that
back to that, doesn't it? It's a balance.
that is pretty cool. No, and I'm all for that. So, I've come to the same realization too. So, just like I didn't used to be able to meditate, but I actually have found a way to do it in like a minute spurts.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
That's actually better
um,
because in here's what I've picked up on in all of my studying that's been helpful for me is that because you're coming to the point where you're like, what's the purpose of meditation and all this stuff? Well, I've gotten to the point where I've been in, because meditating itself is just kind of like turning off the babbler or the ego, whatever you want to call it. But I've been able to go to that next step, and that next step is where when you completely turn it off, and then all of a sudden you would have what people would call experiences. Like some people say, like
Right.
spiritual, psychic, or whatever it may be. But what you really do is like you practice clearing your mind so that when you turn everything off, you can be receptive to stuff that's already there. But the caveat of the whole thing that I've found myself is that I can't control how it affects me. I'm just there for the ride. And
Right.
it's more about like, whoa, this is really here and this is part of it than it is, whoa, look what I can do, you know?
Yeah.
Because at first you get to the point where you're like, oh my gosh, I look what I can, and then it's like, no, okay, I kind of understand it now, and okay, it's everybody has it. It's just where you are, because like everything, life is basically a growth process. You know,
Right.
you grow old. Think about that.
Do you know where I'm about to go? Can you read my mind?
I'm not really clearing. By the way, we can also talk about some cool stuff. Like, you want to hear something else cool that I've done before?
What's up?
A little preview. I may or may not have channeled a spirit before.
And that's where we're going to end this episode. Like this video if you like this video. And by the way, we will be discussing that because I think that each individual has some sort of experience that they can't really explain. And those always interest me, right? So we'll go ahead and go over that in the next episode. I have with Ed. The next episode after this one, I believe, will be with Guy Rozzi. So if you have not listened to the Physio Talk when it comes to the anatomy of lifting, go ahead and listen to that right fucking now. Fantastic episode. A lot of information. As always, guys, we will see you in the next one. If you subscribe and you like this video, we will be appreciative of it. And I think at the end of this video, I will go ahead and I will let you guys know. We are going to be doing a PermaSwole giveaway over on the official secret Facebook group. So if you're interested in free PermaSwole, which by the way is a product we sell, I don't know if I've mentioned that we sell products before, but if you're new here, welcome to the club.
It gets you swole.
It gets you PermaSwole.
Perma.
Also, you know, nitrates have good health benefits to the heart and everything like that. It's pretty cool. But, yeah, so look forward to that, and we will see you guys in the next one.
Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, to hear the lamentation of their women. That is good.
Too many thoughts on my mind, I can't sleep at night, so I just keep writing. I don't need no help, I don't need opinions, so don't waste my time then. I just been living online, my city don't show me no love and that's fine. Fuck local radio stations, I got more plays than all of these rappers combined. I'm going again, I've been going in, I'm fed up with so many things. I gotta just let it all out, I'm talking about the shit they've been talking about. Telling me I should do this, telling me I should do that. Telling me things about rap. Talking the truth and that stab in my back, they will knock me off track, no. Too many things have been building, been hard to deal with, I just been drinking. Remember my moves in the past, I'm wondering what was I thinking. Lately I'm living in fear, wondering what if the end is so near. All of this shit going on, the shootings are strong. One shot to the head and I'm gone. I'm losing control but I can't let it go, cause I'm trying to get more. And I've been in the moment, I've been in the zone, and I'm moving alone. I don't pick up the phone when my family call, I've been doing it wrong and I don't know what's happening. Trying to get what I just been imagining, getting close and I just been examining all of the fake shit the game has been packaging.
Power pleases you, Crown. So grant me one request. Grant me revenge. And if you do not listen, then the hell with you.
I come from a town where most of the people are so close-minded. They go into school and they work in a job but they don't even like it. I won't be put in a box, nobody telling me what I should rock. Nobody telling me what I should drop, cause I do what I want and just know I don't stop. Recording till 4 in the morning, they snoring. I'm pouring my soul into every story. I'm writing, producing, I mix it, I master. I'm building my craft and I'm not looking back. I've been going doing things I wanna do when I want to. Everybody wanna get a win but they not do. Everybody wanna copy you but they not you. Everybody wanna be cool but they not new. Whoa, look how I go, gonna be a dentist, I still got the flow. Never gonna lose cause I'm still doing both. Never gonna lose cause I've been on the road. Come to your state and I'm killing the show. Know that I'm young and I still gotta grow. Know that I'm working the most, know I'm never gonna choke. And I'm looking back down on the people below.
I've been keeping real.
feel. I've been doing what I feel. I've been out here trying to kill every beat. I know I will.